Hello guys, it's me. Welcome back. Welcome back to my little nightmares. It's me. Bad intro, but we're gonna be rereading something. The reason why we're rereading it because I did a horrible accent through the whole thing, and I think that you deserve a lot better. It's the Blaise story. These gay boys, but gay is spelled G-A-E, like bay, how you say bay. It's the connected one. Anyways, and it's a Blaise and Ron story. I might as well redo it because there's only one chapter left and it's going to take me 5 minutes to do it. My last time I read this, it was 55 minutes long, which I think is just outrageous because I look at how small these chapters are and I'm like, how could it take you that long? So let's reread the whole thing. I'm sorry if you hate this, but I'm going to be doing another episode while publishing this one. So don't worry. Part 1. Damn it, Ron mumbled under his breath. He dropped back down onto his flat feet and stared up at the book just out of his. I'm 6 fucking feet and I can't reach a book. Ugh, he thought, miserably. He groaned and went back up onto his tippy toes. His fingers just... Wait, hold on a second. Good. That wasn't in the first 30 seconds or first minute, so that's good. Then I would have to, rate this as an X video or something like that. I'm like, no. He groaned and went back up onto his tippy toes, his fingers just grazing the bottom of the book. Suddenly, Ron felt a body press against his. Ron inhaled and was met by a pleasant combination of mint and pine needles with a warmth underneath like that of fresh baked sugar cookies. That sounds amazing right now. You know what? Right after this, I'm going to make some gingerbread. One of my favorite things to make just after this because screw it, you know? Ron inhaled and just and was met by yeah. The body stepped back and Ron turned around to see Blaise Zabini smirking as he leafed through the book. You know, Blaise started, raising his eyes from the book, you could have used Wingardium Leviosa to get that, right? Ron crossed his arms at him. Well, you could have too. Blaise smirked again. But then I wouldn't be able to show off my height. Ron sighed and looked up at Blaise. The boy had grown over the summer and now stood over Ron at a height of 6'3". Why are you guys complaining? I'm 5'2". He's a whole foot and 1 inch taller than me, okay? You're fine, okay? How small do you think I feel? Or my mom feels? Because she's shorter than me. And my grandma was like 5 foot, maybe even 4'11" sometimes, I think. Anyways, you're not that much taller than me. Blaise raised his eyebrows at Ron and held up the book. So should I just put this back then, or just give it? Said Ron, snatching the book from Blaise's grasp. Touchy, Weasley. Weasel, whatever. It sounded better with it was Weasley. Blaise said before swinging his bag over his shoulder and walking off. Ron looked at the back of the retreating boy, then back at the book in his hand. Maybe Zabini isn't so bad. He did just still call me Weasel. I was going to call him Weasley. Weasel, though. Blaise had just exited the library when Pansy approached him. Hey, Blaise, I was looking for you. Well, you found me, Blaise said, walking past her. She had to jog to keep up with his long legs, so he slowed down a bit. What do you need, Pansy? Blaise asked, looking down at the shorter girl. She stopped walking, looking around nervously. I don't think Hermione likes me, at all. Blaise sighed and shook his head. And why's that, Pans? Well, I tried talking to her today, and she just gave me a disgusted look and told me to leave her alone before walking off. Pansy whined. Well, what did you say to her? I simply asked her what she was reading. Blaise sighed again. And how did you ask her? Pansy stomped her foot and crossed her arms. I'm not the problem here, Bee. It's that stupid Granger who thinks she's too good for me. Well, I'll show her, Pansy said, before marching off down the hall. I should probably stop her, Blaise thought, before walking off the other way. Time skip a few days because I'm lazy as hell. I agree with you on that one. Ron had been sitting at the table in the library for the past hour, looking at the first paragraph of his essay. It was for potions due the next day, but Ron has always sucked at writing. Could this day get any fucking worse? Language Weasley. Sorry! Weasel. I have to think of Liesel from Von Trapp family. You have to think of that. Okay. Language Weasel. Blaise said, sitting down across from him. Dear Merlin, that was a rhetorical question. Ron said to the ceiling. Blaise just laughed. I'm sure you'll find it can be quite the blessing at times, Weasel. Ron, why is he calling him Weasel when the Weasel's actually Draco? But oh well. I seriously doubt that. Blaise cocked his eyebrow and held out his hand. Ron looked at it questionably. Blaise sighed. Your essay? Blaise said impatiently. Ron looked embarrassed, so he handed over his paper. Blaise looked mildly amused as he read it. This is all you have? He asked, placing the paper back on the table. Ron's face turned even more of a bright red. Yeah? Blaise sighed. Very well, then, Blaise said, bringing his eyes up to meet Ron's. I shall help you. My savior, Ron said with sarcasm. Okay, I won't. No, I'm sorry, please do. Blaise chuckled and took out his inkwell and a spare piece of paper. He rummaged in his bag much more, but came up empty-handed. Shit, forgot my quill. Language Zabini, Ron said with a smirk, playing at his lips. Blaise shot him a look. Here, you can use mine. Ron handed Blaise his quill when his fingers brushed Blaise's. He felt a spark and shot his hand back. Blaise gave him a weird look. Don't do that, Zabini. Blaise continued to look at Ron like he was a complex puzzle for a few more moments before shaking his head and dipping his quill in ink. He wrote something out on the spare parchment. While I'm doing this, find this book. Will you? He handed I was going to call him Harry. He handed Ron the paper, and Ron couldn't help but marvel at how neat his writing was. He was staring at the paper for so long that Blaise smirked. Can you read neat, Weasel? Blaise asked. Ron was about to snap back, but he looked up and saw Blaise's good-natured smile. Ron smiled back with a small eye roll. Ha ha. Of course I can. I was just thinking how Snape will never believe I could write like this. Don't worry, I can match your chicken scratch. Blaise said, biting back a smirk. Ron stuck his tongue out at Blaise before running off to find the book. After about half an hour of searching, Ron found the book, and when and went to give it to Blaise. When he returned to the table, he found Blaise sitting in his seat doing nothing. "Shouldn't you be doing my essay?" Ron asked, handing him the book. He was careful not to touch him in case this touch was still electric. An odd spell to cast on yourself, Ron thought. Why do I keep on saying Harry? Oh, it's messing me up now. "I finished that a while ago," Blaise said, with a shrug. Ron stared at him with open-mouthed shock. "How?" Ron asked, and Blaise laughed. "It's not that hard if you actually pay attention in class." Ron stuck his tongue out again, and picked up the carefully folded parchment. Blaise had perfectly replicated Ron. Oh my gosh! Ron's writing of his chicken scratch. Ron smiled at the paper. "Hey, thanks, Blaise. This was really nice of you." Ron picked his eyes up and saw that Blaise had already left. Ron was weirdly disappointed and felt a frown cross his face. Blaise didn't even say goodbye. Ron packed his stuff up and threw his bag over his shoulder. As he was leaving the library, he felt like he was missing something. He pondered it the whole way to the common room. When he realized that what he was missing, Blaise had kept his quill. Instantly, his smile was back on his face. But for the love of Merlin, he didn't know why. 3 days later, Blaise was reading in the library at the same library table when Ron ran over to him. "Hey, Blaise, guess what?" "So we're on first-name basis now?" Blaise asked, not even looking up from his book. "Yeah, sure, Blaise. Now guess," Ron said, barely able to contain his excitement. I'd rather you just tell me, Ron," Blaise said as he continued to read. Ron instantly stopped jumping around when his name left Blaise's mouth. He wasn't sure why, but it just felt so right between his lips. Whoa. Whoa there, hold on. "Well?" Blaise asked, raising his eyebrow to meet Ron's. His eyes to meet Ron's. Blaise noticed that they were twinkling. Excitement, and something else that Blaise recalled seeing in someone else's eyes, but he couldn't remember when. "Oh, yeah. Right, Ron said, sitting down next to Blaise. His face was bright red as he rummaged through his bag. "Look at this," Ron said proudly, and he threw down a piece of parchment. Blaise sighed and picked it up. "An A, 90% on your potions essay." Blaise returned the paper to Ron and looked back at his book. "Congratulations." "Really? That's all you have to say?" Ron asked, giving Blaise a ludicrous look. I probably messed that up in my last video, too. "This is the highest mark I've ever gotten on a potions essay, and that's all thanks to you." Blaise couldn't help but hold back a smile. Ron's joy was infectious. "I told you I could be a blessing," Blaise said, meeting Ron's eye. Ron laughed. "That you are. Seriously, thanks for this. I gotta run," Ron said as he shoved his essay back into his bag. As he passed Blaise, he patted his shoulder. "See you around, mate." And with that, he walked off. Whoa. It's gonna really rain soon. With that, he walked off, leaving a very smiley Blaise behind him. "Since when are you friends with Ron?" Pansy asked, sitting down next to Blaise. What? He asked, looking up from his book. I wouldn't say we're friends exactly. I would, Pansy said, kicking her feet up onto the table. Really? Blaise could feel a blush rise into his cheek, but he wasn't sure why. Thank Merlin for his dark complexion. He looked over at Pansy and saw a devious smirk on her face. Oh no! What are you thinking, Pans? He asked her warily. Her smirk just grew. You just gave me a great conversation starter with Granger, Pansy said proudly before jumping up. Enjoy your book, she said sweetly before walking away. I should stop her, Blaise thought, before settling in to read his book with no more interruptions on getting in his way. This is from the author. Alrighty, y'all, this is stupid in its finest form, but, I have 3% battery, so I'm not gonna fix it. I know there's, no one who ships these children. I do. Duh. As well, but, if you do, here you go. Hope you enjoy. Have a prodigious day, my lovelies. Oh, okay. Part 2. Hey, Granger, what up? Wait up. Oh, wait up. Pansy called out down the hall. Hermione swiveled around, confused, her eyes landing on Pansy, and she rolled her eyes. What do you want, Parkinson? Hermione asked, crossing her arms. Pansy smirked as she strode to a stop beside Hermione. No need to be so hostile there, G. Hermione made a face. I have places to be, Parkinson, so if you could just hurry along, Hermione asked in a fake sweet voice. Pansy shot back a look. You take the fun out of everything, Pansy protested with a pout. Hermione held back an eye roll. All right, fine, Princess, Pansy said with a huff. It has come to my attention that a certain friend of mine has a crush on a red-haired weasel you and Scarface keep as a pet. Hermione cocked an eyebrow. Well, you can tell her Ron isn't interested. What if I told you it wasn't a her? Hermione looked surprised, then smiled for a split second. May I ask who the boy is, then? She asked, her face not showing the excitement in her eyes. She is so fucking cute. Pansy thought, smiling at Hermione. Right, she asked me something. Pansy coughed and shrugged. Well, he's not out yet, and I'm not sure if he'd want... Not that I think you'd just tell anyone. I totally get it. Hermione said, interrupting with a small smile gracing her features. Just like I couldn't tell you if Ron wasn't even interested in, any boy out there. Right, of course, Granger. Of course. We're still totally getting them together, though, right? Of course, Parkinson. Hermione said with a wink, and Pansy smiled. A very rare sight. Hermione's breath caught. Gosh, she's beautiful. It's a shame she's straight. I really want to fucking... No! You can't think of Parkinson like that, Hermione. She hates you. She's only talking to you because Blaise likes Ron. What the fuck? How'd you know it was Blaise? It could have been Malfoy. or Crabbe or Goyle. But that means she's okay with same-sex couples. So maybe... No, stop it. Just forget about her. Why must she be so perfect all the time? Hermione felt a blush to her cheeks and thanked Merlin for her darker complexion. "See you later, Granger," Pansy said before walking off the way she came. When she turned around the corner, Hermione leaned against the wall and exhaled. "She's gonna be the death of me." "Hey, Ron," Hermione asked, sitting down beside the redhead. "Mm-hmm," Ron hummed in response, staring at a small piece of parchment. Hermione couldn't see the neat printing scratched out onto it in the elegant form of a book title. Instead, she saw a lovesick boy staring at some paper. "Now that me and Harry know that you're, bi," Hermione began cautiously as Ron slowly raised his eyes to meet hers. I have second thoughts about accepting me," Ron joked, but Hermione could hear the slight shake in his voice. Hermione laughed. "Of course not. In fact, I want to help you set you up." Ron relaxed for a moment before shooting up. "You want to do what?" he asked in disbelief. "Set you up, like on a date." "With who?" Hermione smirked, and Ron instantly regretted asking. "Blaise," she said proudly, and snickered as Ron's face instantly turned red. "You want to... with Blaise? He wouldn't... He isn't... How'd you figure out that I liked him?" Ron asked, his face hidden in his hands. Hermione just smiled at him and patted his back comfortingly. You were awful at hiding it. Ron sighed and leaned back in his chair. "Do you think he knows then?" "Not yet, but I think you should tell him." Ron shook his head dejectedly. "He'd hate me." "I doubt that." "He'd reject me." "Why do you say that?" "Well, for starters, he's straight. I have information from a very reliable source that he's not." For a brief moment, Ron looked hopeful, but then he remembered his second point. "Well, even if he's into guys, why would he go for me? He's smart, funny, and kind, and so mother effing hot. Like, are you shitting me? How is one so hot without combusting like good Merlin?" Ron's whole face instantly turned even redder when he turned towards Hermione. "I never said that," he whispered gravely. She laughed and nodded. "Okay, but aren't these all good things?" Hermione asked him. Ron leaned back again. They're all amazing things, amazing qualities, and that he possesses. And I'm just me, Ronald Belus Weasley. I probably said his middle name wrong. I'm sorry in advance. But don't you ever say that. Don't you... Oh, wait. They're all amazing things, amazing qualities that he possesses. And I'm just me, Ronald Belus Weasley. Don't you ever say that, Hermione hissed, anger rising in her voice. You're every bit as good as Blaise, if not better. You need to stop looking down on yourself. Ron sighed. I guess you're right, Hermione. No surprises there. Ron looked at Hermione and smirked. So, what's the plan? So, what's the plan? And then here's the author's note. So this chapter is kind of short, but it's okay because no one really cares to read about these two cuties anyways. It's kind of bad and feel really rushed, but I wrote it at like 11 o'clock in the evening, and I crave some sleep now. Also, my phone's gonna die soon, so hope someone enjoyed this slightly. Have a boisterous day, my lovelies. Okay. Part 3. Good afternoon, class, Professor Slughorn called out, sauntering into class late again. Today we are making a very special potion. Can anyone take a guess as to what it is? As usual, Hermione was the first one with her hand in the air. She's so effing smart. She'd never go for someone like me, Pansy thought dejectedly. Blaise nudged her with his elbow. Stop staring, Pans, Blaise whispered. You're one to talk, Slughorn sighed. Yes, Miss Granger? Oh, boy. Amoratentia, sir. Correct, Miss Granger. 5 points to Gryffindor. Slughorn heaved a large cauldron onto his desk. He adjusted the lid on its top. In here, I have a perfectly brewed batch of Amortentia. There you go. Whipped up by yours truly. He looked around as he expecting applause, but gave up on the idea quickly. Just form a line and don't eat any, Slughorn said before popping down in his chair. Wonder what it'll smell like, Ron whispered to Hermione as they walked up to join the line. As if you don't know, said Harry, sliding up to Ron's other side. Ron feigned a confused face. Mate, I sleep one bed away. Oh, Blaise, harder, ooh. No, Harry, how could you do this to him? Harry moaned before Ron slapped his hand over Harry's mouth. His face turned the same color as his hair. A little louder, will you? I don't think Dumbledore heard you, Ron hissed, looking around, his face still ablaze. Harry slapped his hand away, smirking. Hermione was holding back her laughter. Ron looked at his two best friends and shook his head. I hate both of you, Ron muttered. Harry placed his hand over his heart. Oh, no! Harry began looking hurt. Did Blaise replace us? And his smirk was back in place. This time, Hermione couldn't hold back her laugh. Twats. Don't mean mean. Don't you mean pricks? Harry interjected, barely dodging Ron's hand as he took a swing at Harry's head. Harry stepped behind Hermione and stuck his tongue out at Ron from over his shoulder. Ron huffed and spun around to find he was in front of the cauldron. Ron leaned over it and inhaled. He was instantly consumed in the wonderful smells of his mum's homemade fudge, smoke from a blazing fire, mint, pine cones, and fresh baked sugar cookies. Ron gasped and jerked his head back. Amortentia to Ron smelled like his home and like Blaise. Ron was completely whipped. Hermione's plan better work. Ron walked back to his seat and placed his red face in his hands as Hermione was walking up to the cauldron. She leaned over and took a deep breath. She was met with the small smells she expected, old books and new ink, but a smell she didn't recognize. It was a sharp, sweet, it was sharp and sweet, and probably a perfume, but it wasn't overwhelming. It was a smell Hermione actually quite enjoyed, but she hated not knowing where or who it was from. She moved her head and walked back to her seat beside Ron. She pulled out a quill, ink, and parchment and started writing down where she could have smelt it before. Once Hermione walked away, it was Harry's turn to smell the Mortentana. He was just about to step forward when a girl stepped in front of him. He instantly recognized her as Mary Jane Smith. "Hey, MJ," he said, stepping back, letting her cut in front of him. "Hey, Hermione. Hey, Harry. Sorry for cutting. I really need to check something, though. You don't mind, do you?" "Not at all. What do you need to check?" "Well, you know that I'm a romantic, right?" she said, leaning over the cauldron. Harry looked at her dumbly. "Well, Ellie said that would cause me not to smell anything." She continued on talking as she took a deep breath and then raised her head, smirking. "I told her she was wrong, 'cause I can still feel love, just have no desire for a romantic relationship." Mary Jane shot Harry a satisfied look. "I was right. Thanks for letting me cut in front, Harry." "Anytime, MJ." Harry mumbled, still confused by what MJ had said. "Bye," he called to her, retreating back. She brought her hand up and slightly waved without turning around. "Would you hurry up already, Potter?" A voice drawled out behind him. Harry sighed and turned to face Draco. He was instantly hit with a wave of his cologne and hair gel, a sickening combination. Harry gagged. "Merlin's beard, Malfoy! Did you bathe in cologne this morning?" Draco just rolled his eyes. "At least I bathe. You still reek of dirt and sweat from Quidditch practice this morning. Stalking me now, are we, Malfoy?" Sod off, Potter. I don't know why I'm doing the accent now. I think it's just Potter thing right there. Harry rolled his eyes at Draco, who simply looked at him with a bored expression. His eyes looked really nice today. His pale blue pieces of ice. Merlin's balls. Merlin's Harry's ball. Merlin's Harry balls. I did not get enough sleep last night. Harry shook these thoughts from his head and walked up to the cauldron. He leaned over and inhaled. Even this, my head in this pot, and I can still smell stupid Malfoy's cologne. He needs to wear less of it. Harry tried to focus more on the other smells, but he could smell broom polish, fresh air from a rainstorm, Malfoy's stupid hair gel scent, and also wormed its way up Harry's nose, and it lingered in the potion, but underneath was Molly's fresh baked cookies. Harry straightened up, and walked back to his friends, one of whom was still hiding his red face in his arms. The other, who had Pansy's name written on some parchment, was staring at it with a complex puzzle. Harry opened his mouth to ask about, but thought better of it and took his seat slightly. All three of them contemplating on the smells of the potion. Sorry, I'm getting a tissue. Wow, it's coming down there really hard. Draco rolled his eyes and turned his face to his friends. Stupid Potter with his broomstick and his scar. We all know he'd like to see Harry's broomstick, Pansy whispered, standing on her tiptoes to reach Blaise's ear. Draco's eyes narrowed at Blaise, and Pansy started laughing. Sorry, I'm getting something to warm me up. You both can suck my dick. Draco huffed as he twirled around to face the cauldron. I tell ya, friends are like that, my dude. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to warm myself up. So I have my poncho on. My fluffy poncho. Okay. He leaned in and the first thing he noticed was stupid Potter's stench was still lingering around in the air. Just another reminder of the boy he could never have. Draco shook his head and tried to smell past the intoxicating scent of Harry. Beneath the smells of dirt, sweat, and sweets, he could make out the perfume that his mom always wore. He could smell the musty book pages from his father's study that he would read out in the sunshine. With a small smile on his face, Draco turned back to his seat. When he turned, his eyes landed on the certain scarhead. His gaze lingered for a second too long, apparently, because Harry's eyes shot up. His face contorted into one of another unrecognizable emotions. Draco's smile instantly dropped, and he felt his face turn red and quickly hurried back to his seat. However, the emotion that Draco found so unrecognizable was one of pure adoration. Draco couldn't tell how Harry's heart dropped into his stomach when he saw Draco's soft smile. Nor could he sense the tug in Harry's pants when Draco started to blush. Blaise and Pansy both sighed at their obvious friend. "You're up, Pans," Blaise said, nudging her in the shoulder. Pansy smirked at him and walked up to the cauldron. She leaned over and sniffed. The first thing she smelled was honeydukes. Pansy smiled at the memories of her sister carrying around armfuls of honeydew candles. I really miss talking to her. The next few smells were also expected. The perfume her mother bought her from France, her dad's homemade lemon bars, lemon bars, the musty smell of old books that no one has read in decades. But underneath all that, there was another smell, a faint yet strong, sweet smell. It smelt faintly like of strawberries. It was familiar yet completely foreign. It's probably nothing, Pansy thought, walking back to her seat. Yet she couldn't help but spare a glance at the bushy-haired angel, tapping her quill on seemingly blank piece of paper. "Mr. Zabini, it seems you're the last one up. Chop chop, boy. I don't have all day." Professor Slughorn talked snapping Blaise out of his daydream. Right, sir, Blaise said hurriedly. He strolled forward and stuck his head in the pot. The smell was intoxicating. He could smell the mint body wash his little sister got him for his birthday. The smell of pine from when he and his brother would always climb the tree in the backyard. He could smell his mother's cooking and a musky smell of the Slytherin common room. He could also smell the strong scent of fire smoke and the Quidditch pitch, after a rainstorm. The scent that always hung to one Ron Weasley. Blaise gasped and took a step back. He was in deeper than he thought. As Blaise walked back to his table, he couldn't help but spare a glance at Ron. His heart leapt into his throat when he saw Ron was looking back at him. A blush crept up Ron's face as he looked away hurriedly. If that isn't the cutest frickin' thing I've ever seen, Blaise thought as he sat down beside Pansy. Hey, Bee, Pansy whispered, breaking his trance. Yeah, Pansy? Can you meet me tonight in the hall between Charms and Muggles studies? Why can't you meet in the common room or something? I don't want to be overheard. Do I really have to cross half the school, though? It'll be worth it. Blaise sighed. It better be. As long as Weasel doesn't F it up, Pansy thought, sparing a glance at the red-headed boy who was trying to inconspicuously look over at Blaise. Hermione caught Pansy's eye and smirked at her. Pansy returned the action. This better work. I guess we'll find out tonight. For better or for worse. Slughorn spared a glance at his clock and sighed. All right, class is dismissed. Read pages 134 to 137 for homework tonight, he said, already walking out the door. What an inspiration, Harry said seriously. Ron nodded solemnly, and they both saluted the door before breaking down in a fit of laughter. Idiots, Hermione thought fondly of as she followed them out of the room, suppressing a smile. Part 5. And you're sure this is going to work? Hermione asked for the millionth time. She was tapping her fingers on her thigh as she glanced around the hallway. Pansy found it incredibly cute and very distracting. Yes, Granger, as long as the weasel of yours follows the plan. Ron is perfectly competent most of the time, Pansy snorted, and Hermione blushed. Pansy looked at Hermione's tapping hand and sighed. I have to distract her. Tell me about how this cabinet works. Hermione sighed. Again, Pansy nodded. Very well. If two people with romantic feelings for each other enter the cabinet of desire, they will be locked in there till they sort out their feelings. So until they kiss? Hermione gave Pansy a brief look of amusement. More or less. I wouldn't object going in there with you, Pansy thought. What are you blushing at? Hermione asked, nudging her arm. Pansy could have sworn she heard a hint of jealousy in Hermione's voice. You're just imagining it. Hermione wouldn't be jealous. Thinking about being in there with your crush? Pansy blushed even more at that. What? No, I just, Pansy stuttered. Hermione laughed. She seemed like she was about to continue, but Ron turned the corner. Hey, guys, Ron said. His voice sounded kind of strained and nervous. Hermione shot him a sympathetic smile. It's gonna be fine, Ron. Tell me the plan again. Whoops, got my place now. Hermione said soothingly, using the same distraction technique that Pansy used on her. Blaise stands here for a while, then when he gets frustrated and leaves, I turn the corner and run into him. I invite him on a walk when Pansy interrupted with a smirk. Ron rolled his eyes. He accepts. I take him down the corridor with the dresser cabinet, Hermione interrupted with a smirk, identical to Pansy's. Ron glared at her. I trip into him, pushing him into the cabinet, and then it locks behind us till we sort out our feelings. And that only happens if he replicates mine, which he does, said both Hermione and Pansy. Sitting down again. Ron huffed, crossing his arms. Don't you two have to be making out somewhere right now? Pansy turned bright red. Ron! Hermione hissed. Her blush was harder to see under her darker complexion, but it was there nonetheless. Well, you took our makeout spot, so, Pansy teased. Ron started to mime gagging. Pansy? Hermione whispered, sounding exasperated. You're already like an old married couple. Ron cooed. Don't you have a man to imprison? Pansy said, crossing her arms. Sawed off, Ron started, yet he marched across the hall to his hiding spot. Pansy heard a tapping sound and looked over to see Hermione tapping on her leg again. Do you think it'll work? Pansy reached over and took Hermione's hand, just to stop that insistent tapping, of course. Of course it will. You made it up. Oh, come on. You did most of it, Hermione said, almost shyly, looking at their interlaced hands. Come on, whispered Pansy, pulling Hermione gently along. Let's go get to our own hiding spot. Their hiding spot, of course, was just down the hall, a bit where Draco and Harry were already hiding. Pansy snatched the cloak off the two boys, stumbling apart, looking slightly guilty and disheveled. Both of their lips were swollen and red. Harry coughed awkwardly. Took you long enough? Is it almost time? Draco asked excitedly, bouncing on the balls of his feet. He looked so happy and cute. Harry almost cooed at the sight of him. I wish I could make sure he always was this happy. Almost. Let's get into positions. Pansy whispered back, just as excited. Fuck, she's cute. When she's excited, Hermione thought, smiling softly at her. Let's. Harry agreed, grabbing the cloak off the ground. The four of them hurriedly huddled under the cloak. Draco grasped Harry's hand due to excitement, possibly to his lower region, and Harry didn't object. Hermione and Pansy has not let go of each other's hand yet. After 3 minutes of waiting around, oh man, what? Waiting around. They all collectively inhaled as Blaise turned the corner. Hello? What? What? Do they want me to go back? Part 6. Hello? Blaise called as he wandered down the hallway. Where the is Pansy? If I get in trouble because of her, I swear, Blaise thought, as he leaned against the wall. He had been sitting against the wall for 5 minutes when a noise at the other end of the hallway startled him. Shit. It has to be Fletch, sorry. Or, I've heard it as Filch and Fletch, so I don't know. He frantically looked for a place to hide, so a figure emerged. Jeez, it's Weasley. Jeez, Weasley, you just had to give me a heart attack. I'm sorry, Blaise, Ron said with a chuckle. Why are you sitting in the hall? He asked. I was supposed to meet Pansy, but she never showed. Blaise said, running his hand through his hair. And holy if it wasn't the hottest thing Ron had seen. Well, you wanna walk with me? He asked Blaise. Sure. Ron extended his hand to help Blaise up. Blaise gratefully took it. However, once he stood up, he didn't drop Ron's hand. Ron squeezed his hand to remind him, but Blaise just held it tighter in response. That simply gesture put butterflies into Ron's stomach. Holy, I'm completely wiped. Wiped? Okay. Ron thought. They walked hand in hand for a while, and then Ron noticed the dresser coming up. Well, now or never, Ron thought. Hermione had left one of the doors ajar, and the plan was quite simple. Don't fuck it up, Weasley, Ron thought. Blaise was watching Ron out of the corner of his eye. He's so cute when he's focused. Suddenly, Ron tripped and Blaise stumbled into the nearby closet. Ron fell in on top of him. You know there's better ways to get me alone, Ron, Blaise said, smirking. Ron was immediately thankful Blaise couldn't see this bright red face due to the cabinet being so dark. Oh, hush, Blaise. I didn't plan this, Ron said, hoping he sounded believable. Blaise laughed lightly and tried to push against the door. He paused and it pushed back harder. It's not opening. What? It's not opening, Blaise repeated, a bit more hectic. Hey, it's okay. We just have to think. Ron said, Lumos. I can't say anything right now. My nose is plugged up. Lumos, Blaise whispered. The tip of his wand lit up, and he waved it around the cabinet. Cabinet of Desire? Blaise looked red off the back of the wall. The cabinet will lock without a doubt if both of the people have feelings to work out. Blaise proceeded to read the rest in his head, and Ron could see the face reddening in the light of the wand. So, Blaise said awkwardly. Ron looked back at the inscription. So, Ron concluded, does this mean you like me too? Blaise asked timidly. Ron's head shot up. You like me? I thought that was obvious, Blaise said with a chuckle. Well, of course I like you. I like you. Why wouldn't I? Would it be okay if I kissed you now, then? I wouldn't want anything else. Blaise leaned forward, and once his lips touched Ron's, he melted. He was the perfect kiss. Time stopped, and they both just wanted more. After an eternity, they parted. They pulled apart. That was... wow, Blaise said, running his hand through his hair. I couldn't have said it better myself, Ron said, a smile splitting his face as he leaned forward again. Yay! Dun, dun, dun! I hope you liked that. I sure did, because I was wondering if it was going to end with like a funny thing where everyone comes out and be like, they actually fall over because it's unlocked now. But you know what? Ooh, that looks good. Wait, is this actually? Huh? Okay, so it is. Okay. Requested to read. We'll read that later. The one you're thinking I'm looking at is The Curse of Jeff the Killer and Slender Man. Jeff the Killer, cold-blooded blood killer in love with Slender Man, the leader of this creepypasta. Let's just say that Jeff gets what he wants, but it goes way too far, and maybe Slender Man does not approve of it. Uh-oh. It's under baby, blood, boy pregnant, human parts, Jeff the Killer, knives, Laughing Jack, Masky, love, Masky and Hoodie, not love, what? Slender Man, Smile Dog, Toki Toby, oh my gosh, Yowie, and Zelgo. There's more, but I mean, that was like pretty much all I needed to probably try to read that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one. I sure did, and let's hope that they get together, you know, and stay together, because I would definitely love to read another not creepypasta, I just talked about it, another one of these, because it was kind of fun. I ain't gonna lie, and there's not a lot of Blaise x Ron stories, which is kind of cool. It's kind of nice to have a story like that every once in a while. Okay. My next stories will be Hold My Hand, Embarrassment, and How Did I Get Stuck with This A-Hole. So, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you like this very much. Be happy, be healthy, and always be loving. Oh boy, hold on. I love you guys so much. Bye bye.